Yo, Elliot. Yo, so today I got a question from my bro, Noob Outsmarter. He goes on to say, yo, Elliot, when I'm lifting weights or working out, I find that I can't breathe deep, even after working out. I know I'm breathing at normal phase, but when I breathe deep, I feel my chest hugging my lungs. Keep grinding, Elliot. God bless you and your family. That's a great question, and a few things come to mind because I've had similar experiences in the past. I'd like to begin here by having you understand that as a human being, as a body, we have an inner tube and an outer tube. And this is going to be really important with regard to your breathing, right? Because a lot of times we focus on the outer tube, which basically is our muscular system, right? Even some of the extra respiratory muscles, like in the ribs here and out here, your neck, you got muscles out here that are extra respiratory muscles that support in breathing. They're more like even when you're doing big movements, they're like the gross movement patterns, right? And they can have muscular imbalances and tightnesses that screw up your movement, and breathing is a movement. Breathing is a wave pattern. If you watch a baby breathe, put a baby on his back, his body just does this when it's breathing. From the head to the pelvic, to the pelvis, right? Like there's sort of a wave going on when you breathe. There's extension with inhalation, flexion with exhalation, right? And it's not even like rocking back and forth. It's like a wave. It's a very subtle wave, the breathing wave. Wilhelm Reich called it the orgastic wave because it's the same movement that you have when you're doing what? Reaching for that orgastic experience, right? Sex. So with the outer unit or the outer tube, we can consider, what needs maybe to be massaged. Maybe your extra respiratory muscles need to be massaged a little bit and stretched. But I tell you, it's probably less effective than working with the inner tube. But the inner tube is so much more, I don't want to say mystical. Nobody thinks about it. Nobody really considers the inner tube. When you're breathing, you say that you feel like your muscles are hugging your lungs. In order for air to get into your lungs, you have your nasal passage back here, and there are muscles back in here, like back in your throat. Look at my tonsils. Those muscles can grow tight too. And deep in the back of your throat, right? Like so. In front of your spine, in here. If you go all the way in, right, you can get to the point where you could touch your spine, your cervical spine, through the mouth. But just like with other areas in the body, those muscles grow tight, they grow tense, they grow swollen, right? And so that inner tube, right, beginning through the nasal, right, and here, into the throat, and then, what do you call that, larynx? Larynx right down into your lungs. You got to consider that there's a lot of there could be muscular tension, a lot of muscular tension in through here, right, all the way up into your face. You have extra respiratory muscles here. These muscles support in breathing, right? Just go like this. And you notice that your nose opens up, your nasal passage opens up because there's a lot of shit going on, right? Even tension in your head and tension in your jaw. Nobody thinks about that shit in terms of your breathing, but there's an impact. So I want to give you something practical. So that's just like something to think about, I learned this stuff by studying the work of Alexander Lowen, right? He talks about the inner tube. The inner tube, read Language of the Body, and you'll know what I'm talking about. He even talks about like notochords and like, invertebrate objects, in the sea. Okay, I'm going too far. Like calamari, right? They're like tubes, they're tubes. They're most basic tubes. If you look at the most basic human forms, they're tubes. It's an alimentary canal, right? Mouth to butthole. Anyway, so the tube is very important. We begin as an inner tube, right? Then everything grows out of it. The inner tube. So in order to affect the inner tube so that you can breathe deeper, there are a few strange things that you can do, one of which is contrary to what you're going to hear most people say, but it's open mouth breathing. Why open mouth breathing? You see, like my voice is changing already when I do that. Why open mouth breathing? Because open mouth breathing puts a stretch on the muscles in the jaw and in the throat. And even sticking out the tongue, if you stick out the tongue, and you just watch yourself in the mirror like I'm watching myself in this iPad, those muscles back there, they start to open up. They start to open up. And you'll be surprised if you open up the entrance to the inner tube, there's almost a cascading effect where the rest of it starts to relax. And then even right into your solar plexus starts to relax, right? You might watch me in some of my training videos. Watch some of my training videos. You'll see me like after a set go like this. Because I get that same hugging feeling that you have. But when I do this, my inner tube opens up. There's a little bit, just a few little tips I want to add to this because I don't want to confuse you with too much shit to think about. Open mouth breathing with the tongue out will help you relax the muscles in your back of your throat that will allow oxygen to move in, but also relax the muscles that bring that air down into your body, that bring that air into your lungs, right? You know, you say you breathe into your lungs, and you know, a lot of people go, oh, you're completely scientifically wrong when you talk about breathing into your balls. Your whole fucking body breathes. Breathing is not the same as respiration. Respiration is the act of oxygen coming into the lungs and then just being like molecularly broken up and that's all like the biochemistry of it. That's respiration. Breathing is a movement. Breathing is an exercise. It's like walking, right? It's a basic movement. So one of the ways that you want to help facilitate that relaxed breathing with the open mouth is to think belly, heart, throat when you inhale. So open throat, I'm breathing into my belly. I know the belly doesn't have oxygen, don't worry, I know. But the muscles down here sort of relax and protrude because your solar plexus is dropping. So first belly, watch me do it. So did you notice? Did you notice my belly went out, my lungs expanded, and then my thing about opening your throat? Experiment with that. Experiment with that a little bit. I'm telling you, you're gonna, especially if you do it laying on your back, right? Just lay on your back, put your hands on your belly, think belly, heart, throat, belly, heart, throat. Do 20 reps. 20 reps of belly, heart, throat. You're gonna stand up, you're gonna get up, you're gonna feel like, oh, you're gonna feel real relaxed. You're gonna feel real relaxed. Those muscles are gonna be real soft. You might even find that your voice gets a little bit deeper and that you're breathing deeper. I know this is weird stuff, but like I said, you know, do your research. Like I said, look into the work of Alexander Lowen. Probably the best as it relates to bioenergetic analysis, which is where this work comes from. But look, as athletes, is really helpful to us because breathing is performance, right? So even as I'm breathing there, it's about expanding the whole, even just the front of the belly, but even the sides. Belly, heart, throat. And think about what I said about earlier. It's a wave, right? Belly, heart, throat. That's the wave. That's the orgasmic wave. That's the wave. That's the breathing wave. And without getting too woo-woo, that's an energetic wave. That wave actually produces energy. There's energy produced when you have a natural breathing rhythm, natural breathing pace, right? And natural breathing movement. Energy is produced in your body. So, hope that helps, dude. Done.